Good morning, everyone. I decided to do another video like this because a lot of you had trouble downloading the PowerPoint with the audio last time, and so I'm hoping that this will be a little bit more streamlined and smooth for all of you. A lot of you had questions about how to use in-text citations in your papers. There's some confusion, and I will admit MLA can be a little bit confusing. They've actually changed a few rules since this last version came through a few years ago. I am posting 2 videos in the news section of D2L that I think you will find extremely helpful. So please watch those if you're having trouble with some in-text citations, but they didn't cover everything that I felt like would be in your paper. So I am going to go over a few of those here and right now. So let's say, let me put this right here. All right, let's say that you are using a source and there is a quote from someone who is not the author of the source, but you want to use that in your paper. You need to indicate that that was quoted by someone else. So let's say that you are, you go to this website called Bartell's, and there is a woman that you want to cite, and because what she has to say fits really well with your paper. So you could say, as Catherine Beasley states, to speak is to have access to language which defines, limits, and locates power. That must be a really interesting article. So what you would do is, if Catherine Beasley is not the author, you would put QTD, which is short for quoted, in Bartell's, and that lets me know that that is the source where you got the information from at the end of that particular sentence. So that's the indirect source. This would also, oops, and I forgot the period at the end of the sentence. That is very important. And that's really good to note too, is that when you have a direct quote like this, so right here, you end it power quotation. There's no punctuation here. If you have something in parentheses afterwards, you put the period after the parentheses, and that's really important to note. A lot of you, I think, are using like YouTube videos and whatnot, so you, if it's an interview like that, you would put quoted in NBC video, you know, some way that I can indicate that I can know where your source came from in your works cited page. Okay, so for visuals, a lot of you are using visuals, and we talked about this in class, but I just wanted to make sure that you you do this correctly. So let's say you're introducing your figure. This trend is illustrated in a chart distributed by the College Board as part of its 2014 analysis of aggregated SAT data. Right here, see figure 1. And then down here, underneath it, I have figure 1. And then just a little explanation under it. It doesn't have to be anything overly formal, just something that ties it back to what you were saying in the paper. The SAT data suggests a decrease in student learning. And that's it. But you need to make sure that you're including those figures in underneath the pictures. So online articles, this is what most of you have. And there are a couple of different ways that these are quoted. If you introduce the author or sources in the sentence and there are no paragraph or page numbers, we're going to get to that in just a second, you do not have to include any page numbers in parentheses. So let's say you get this article from John Smith, who's talking about autism. So let's say that it's just a web article, the paragraphs are not numbered, there are no page numbers, nothing, and it's written by Dr. John Smith. So what you would say is, according to Dr. John Smith, there is no correlation between autism and vaccines. That's it. That's all you have to put. You don't have to put anything else. Sometimes articles do have page numbers or sections, and if it does, then you would include those after the quote, and that's only if they're actually numbered or sectioned off. So, and if that was the case, I introduced my quote again. According to Dr. John Smith, there is no correlation between autism and vaccines. Paragraph 2. The paragraphs were numbered in this case, and so I just put PAR, which is an abbreviation for paragraph 2. So if you do not introduce the author as part of the quote, you will put their name in parentheses after the quote, and this is what a lot of you have done. So I just changed it to say many experts agree there's no correlation between autism and vaccines. Smith, and then you only put this if there are paragraphs there. Smith, paragraph 2. And that's the end. So I do hope that this is helpful. If you do have a very specific question about how to cite your source correctly and you're not sure if you're doing it correctly, then please let me know. Send it to me and say, hey, I'm using this quote, but I'm not exactly sure how to do my in-text citations with it. That's what I'm here for, and I can promise you I am not going anywhere or doing much of anything. There is also a guide in your book. See, it's in chapter 22. See, I've got this lovely MLA style guide. It starts on page 496. So if you go to page 496, it has this whole section on in-text citations. The Purdue OWL website's also a good source. So I can post a link to that or send you a link if you would like that. But anyway, seriously, guys, if you have any questions or concerns, just ask me. I would probably love the distraction right now. I do hope that all of you are doing well and staying healthy. Had a good Easter. And as I said, just let me know if you need anything.